What's up with it, my children? It's the Arturo Gotti of Expat Relocation.
Arturo Gotti.
Coming to you from Phnom Penh, Cambodia on my rooftop. I'm over here with my boy Aaron. He's from Colorado, United States. He's been teaching the English out here. We helped him get into the country when the country was first opening up, just at the very end of the pandemic. He's been out here since, and he's been doing his thing out here. So we're gonna get a little bit of his perception on what it's like to teach English out here. And he's gonna pull no punches, but he's got a lot to say today. And he's gonna try to give you guys a realistic description of what it's like being out here and teaching English out here. Because what we like to do on our channel is to bring you guys reality. We're not interested in dressing it up and making it seem like it's something that it's not. We want you to have all the information you need, because teaching is a good thing for some people, but it's not a good thing for all people. And you know, I've always told people that Cambodia especially is a place where you really need to have a long-term strategy. Like, teaching should just be a stepping stone for you to get a business going or do something bigger or do something better, because this is not a great place to be a teacher for long-term. Where Vietnam, in China, you know, Korea, you can get much more money. Whereas people who choose to be out here, I think it's largely for entrepreneurial purposes or lifestyle, or because they're stuck out here and they can't get a job nowhere else. So we're gonna let him tell us what his experience has been. I think Cambodia is still a great place to teach depending on your circumstances and your ambitions, but let's hear it from him because he's out here doing it, and let's see what he thinks, what's positive, what's negative. Make sure to stay in school, make sure to brush your teeth.
Hey, so yeah, like Jay said, my name's Aaron. I'm from the US. I came out here about 1 year and 3 months ago. I guess I chose Cambodia because at the time, it was at the end of COVID. I had always kind of thought of Thailand and Vietnam. I never really thought of Cambodia, and I kind of just stumbled on it randomly. And the country was open. And I also found that it could be pretty easy to get a job here, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, I guess I just kind of wanted to travel. I was kind of tired of the life of the United States. Just wanted to come out here and explore and try something different because, yeah, I was just feeling the grind. I was working 60, 70 hours a week sometimes, and I was just miserable. And I was like, I gotta get out of Dodge. So, so here I am. But I had some experience traveling before. You know, I've been to Africa, I've lived in Africa, I've lived in India. But I would say that despite my previous travel experience, nothing really could have prepared me for this place. It's been a pretty amazing and wild ride. So I would just suggest that if you have any type of issues with self-control, any type of issues with any type of illicit substance or anything like that, that you really want to make sure you've got everything together on your end, or you're just going to come out here and you will crash and burn. You'll spend all your money in 3 months. And once you kind of start to crash and burn a little bit, recovering and then saying, okay, I'm finally ready to get a job. I'm finally ready to kind of, yeah, I've made quite a few mistakes, and I think my number one mistake that I made was not getting a job within the first month that I was here. But as far as the teaching thing, it's you kind of, when you come out here to work, you kind of have to leave when you come out here to live, you need to leave every single preconceived notion or any type of way you think things are supposed to be, or the way you think things are, or the way you've learned from the things you take for granted, say in the United States or Europe in the West, do not exist here in the way that you were previously thought. So you have to relearn everything. Where you buy food, what restaurants to go to. If you come out here single, you know, learning how to interact with women, for instance, that's probably, I could probably make an entire video just on that.
So, if there was one thing you really wanted to know before you came out here, what would that be?
One thing I wanted to know, maybe just I knew it was going to be different. I knew it was going to be very different. It was going to be difficult, but I didn't know it was going to be that difficult. I didn't know that it really was going to be this challenging. I knew I was going to get homesick, but I didn't know I was going to get that homesick. And so, you know, I did as much research as I could too. I mean, I found all the expat relocation websites, I found all the Facebook groups, and I really tried to research it. But I mean, you can't really exchange any of that for coming here and trying to survive and trying to live.
So let's talk a little bit more about the teaching. Was the salary enough for you to live on? And how was the actual teaching environment?
So yeah, the salary is more than enough to live on. I mean, a typical Khmer person is able to live here, I would say, relatively comfortably for, you know, $200, $300, $400 a month. So when you come here to teach, expect to probably make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400 a month, and that's just with the TEFL. I mean, you can even get a teaching job here without a TEFL. I mean, that's, yeah. So really, in terms of being able to live comfortably and affordably, your only enemy is going to be you, really and truly. I mean, and you can live super cheap as well. I mean, you can find $50 apartments here, all the way up to $300 a month apartments up here. So yeah, I would say the money is more than enough. So the actual teaching environment. Okay, so the school I work at, it's a pretty big school here. They have campuses all over the city, and I teach at 5 different campuses, all in different parts of the city. So on Monday I teach at one place in one part of the neighborhood. On Tuesday I teach at another school at another side. So I spend a lot of time on a motorbike, which is kind of frustrating, but that's just kind of the way they're set up. As far as the environment, the school I work at, it's not Khmer public school, but it's really for like lower middle class Khmer families is where they send their kids to because it's affordable. The school itself, everything's pretty basic, pretty bare bones. It's nice, and I would say the students are fantastic. They're a lot of fun, but I think I've definitely had some issues working with the admin of the school. Interacting, I guess, maybe with a different culture and everything. There are going to be times here that you will actually doubt whether or not you are sane, because they'll ask you to do things that don't really make a whole lot of sense, or it just won't make a whole lot of sense, honestly. Sometimes, like, you'll get done with interaction and you're like, what was that all about? So you kind of just have to relax and just kind of take it one day at a time. And the language barrier is kind of a thing as well. I think that's probably kind of an issue. And then the cultural barrier as well. So just be prepared for nothing to make sense, and just take your time, just relax, hopefully not drink too much. As far as the actual teaching, that's pretty fun. So basically what they do is they give me a textbook, and they put me in a room with the kids and say, okay, get on it, and they basically don't bother me ever, honestly, unless they need me to sign some form, if I have to submit some paperwork. But as long as they don't get complaints, keep the kids happy, then yeah, they pretty much leave me alone, which is fantastic, as long as I show up on time as well. Other than that, though, I've not really had any problems.
When I was teaching in public schools in Saigon, we had anywhere between 40 and 60 kids in a class. No air conditioned, hot, dirty, crazy, kids fighting, this one smacking this one, the TA walking around with a megaphone, slapping kids off their desks like whap, you know, and just noisy as fuck. I used to put earplugs in because I would get the hearing damage from like the pitch. Like I would hear it go up to way too high of the screaming of the children. Not that they're screaming in anger, it's just Vietnamese is like a tonal language, so it's very loud, so everybody's always very loud, and it just sounds like a room full of children yelling, and everybody's yelling at the top of their lungs, and the TA has the megaphone so she can yell over the kids with the megaphone, you know what I mean? How would you compare teaching here to an environment like, now I got a lot more money than you, and I never had to do a lesson plan, I never had to actually do anything. I just sort of showed up. They would give me a book called Family and Friends. I would read one page out of that book, like duck, 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 and then we play the game and it's a wrap. That was the class, right? How would you compare the teaching environment here to a Saigon-like environment? Is it absolute chaos? Is it totally out of control? Do you see the TA smacking the kids? But your school's private, so it's probably a bit different. I was teaching in the public schools. But tell us a little bit about the environment of the classroom. What about it is okay? What about it is not okay? And I don't know, give us a picture.
So my students are anywhere from 15 to 22 years old. I'd say it's pretty relaxed. I mean, the max class size I think I have is maybe, if all of them show up, maybe 10, 12. One of my part-time classes I think has 15, but usually only 10 show up. And they're all, I would say, almost fluent, upper intermediate, and so I can actually have conversations with them. Sometimes the younger teenagers, keeping them off their cell phones is kind of a pain, but really and truly it's not that chaotic. I mean, honestly, sometimes just to mess with them, I'll ask them, hey, what do you guys want to do today? They're like, can we chill? Can we relax? And I kind of give them like, well, no, we can't relax today. We need to study today, because I kind of get on my soapbox. But then really just keeping them off the cell phones is pretty much the main thing. And sometimes, maybe the previous week they actually all paid attention and they all interacted and they were all doing really well and it was a fun class. Maybe for the last 30 minutes of the class, I'll let them just relax, honestly. You can't take it too seriously. Sometimes I find myself getting really frustrated because I'm having difficulty getting them to engage, and I just have to kind of like just take a deep breath and just not worry about it, because I'm not really, my job there isn't really to teach them English. As ironic as that actually is, and they don't actually learn English primarily from expats like me. They have all the Khmer teachers teach them. So typically every level or grade, they usually have 1 or 2 expat teachers. The rest of their English teachers are all Khmer. And if I'm only there with them 2.5 hours every 7 days, they're not really going to get a whole lot anyways. I'm there to give the school prestige, basically. It's kind of the way it is, And anytime there's ever some type of like school ceremony or graduation or some type of event, they always put all the expat teachers up in front, and they have them all sit next to like the head admin guy of the school, and it's like, and the guy that actually runs the school, he's like this big guy here in the city. He's like, oh, thank you expat teachers for sharing your experience, and I realized that that's just kind of silly, because it's kind of a joke, honestly. It's kind of a ridiculous thing, and you just kind of have to learn how to deal with it. Best thing you can possibly do is just not make any kind of waves, not hack anybody off. There is nothing you could possibly do to change anything about this culture or this society or anything that you find disagreeable. So you kind of have to figure out, you'll see things that are just absolutely heartbreaking. You'll see things that are very depressing just walking around the city. And you just kind of have to somehow figure out some way to deal with it. And that's been a big struggle for me. It's almost demoralizing in a lot of ways. It's a bit demoralizing at times. Because, sometimes I just want a day where everything is just normal. It's like sometimes I find myself riding my bike around the city and I'm just getting myself so freaking angry. And sometimes I wish there was one day things could just be normal, just a little bit, or normal according to, my past experience, but that's impossible. So, you just got to take it one day at a time. Don't let yourself get too frustrated, and just try to have a good time without self-destructing.
Yeah, I always had the attitude I just don't give a shit, I would hit the bong, let the kids kill each other, do whatever you want, it's your country. I'm not here to make a problem. I'm a dancing bear, and I knew I was a dancing bear, but I knew what this dancing bear was worth. And I knew that right away. I peeped game that they were trying to prostitute me. And I'm like, well, if you're trying to prostitute me, how much are you making on me? You must be making pretty good money on me. So I would test the boundaries of that, and I would throw white monkey tantrums and demand things and like make them do a bunch of work and then just not do what they want me to do. And then they, I never got fired. Like I would never get fired. I would do some crazy shit, like just make them set up a big like exhibit for the parents and and then I would just not go to it, just be like, I'm not, oh yeah, of course, because I knew like when I walked into the room to negotiate with the teachers, with the schools, the first thing I do when I walk in is I take my dick out and I put it on the table, I'm like, hey, una la mazza, mezza goscia, and sometimes you got to put your nuts on the table is what I'm telling you, right? I don't know, in Cambodia you don't have as much leverage because there's a lot more motherfuckers want to come out here, and it sounds like my man's got a very easy job. Like it sounds like it's a fucking easy job, and like 1400's dick in Vietnam, but it's like it's more than enough out here. It's fine for Cambodia, and he's not breaking his ass for it. So I mean, do you feel like here you're easily replaced, or do you feel like here you have some power over your employer, or does your employer have more power over you? Like in the dynamic of the workforce here, in your experience in Cambodia, is there a million motherfuckers waiting to take your job, or is it like, you know, an actual teacher who's like sober and like not fucking, you know, showing up scratching fucking scabs off their face? Like, is it like, who has the power dynamic? Is it easy for them, or is it easy for the employer?
So I would say that, okay, of the expatriate staff at my school, I am maybe one of, and I think they have maybe 15 or 20 expat teachers. I am one of 5 or 6 white guys. They have teachers from India, they have teachers from Nigeria, a bunch of different places. So I would say that, I mean, if I want my schedule changed, I call them up, change my schedule, it's done. It's just done. I mean, I would definitely say that I kind of have the power. I mean, because without expat teachers, and especially with the fact that I'm a native speaker, an actual native speaker from America, they can't even really keep teachers on very well here. I mean, if they can keep somebody on staff for 6 months, I mean, they're doing really well. Because there's so many international schools in this area, there's so much competition. And a lot of expats, they come here, and they might just work for a month. They might just work for, and just for a quick paycheck, and then so they can go to Siem Reap or something like that, you know. So they do everything they can to keep people there. So you can probably get away with a lot. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing what Jay did. I wouldn't recommend that, you know, because I mean, really and truly, they're all really nice, and they're very polite, very nice people. And I don't like to look a gift horse in the mouth, you know. I don't like to. Although that is very, you know, that could be fun just to try it, maybe once or twice.
But basically, you're a filthy white whore. I mean, you're being sold as white meat on the market, essentially, right? Like, this is what's really happening here, right? So this is not about education. So I want you guys to dispel that from your mind right away. It's about posing with the white face. And it's the same in Vietnam, Cambodia, you know, Thailand, China, Korea, any of the countries in East Asia. So, you know, that doesn't mean that if you're not white, you can't get a job. I mean, even non-native speakers can occasionally get employment. Vietnam is making it much harder for them to even get visas. But, you know, Cambodia, it's still, I think, probably one of the easier countries to get into. And even, I'm sure, non-native speakers can find jobs. But if you're a white native speaker, I mean, in most of this part of the world, you're going to have a lot of advantages. Even if you're a complete clown, even if you have like a drug habit and you show up fucking shooting heroin and like you're still like awake for fucking 4 days of a bender with prostitutes, like you're going to have the job choice over like someone who's more qualified than you, but from like a developing country, you know? So, you know, you have to peep game, right? So I always peeped game like this. I was like, okay, so I'm a commodity, essentially. I'm not a teacher. I'm like a piece of meat, right? So my value has a certain value in the market, because I lived in Asia long enough to know that everything has a value in the market, right? I'm just something that they hang in the bag on the kilo thing, and I just got to figure out how much I'm worth by how much I can bully them and have control over them to make sure that I get what I want out of this understanding, right? Did you approach it as you were going to be a real teacher, or did you approach it more like I approached it, like it's similar to like the crack game?
So I definitely wouldn't say that I've looked at it like a crack game. It's that, I mean, you certainly could, but I'm more of a conscientious type. Even though I really can't change anything here, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to give my students the best experience that I can, and try to help them understand just different ways of thinking. Because the schools here, the education in this country is absolutely, if you can't even begin to compare it to like public school in America. Maybe. But really and truly, it's really not that great. And I'm speaking just not for my school, but I'm speaking just in general. It's really not that good. And so I really try to help them think outside the box a little more, give them some other ways of thinking. And I can do that because A, they're pretty high-level speakers, and then B, the textbook actually has a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about. So you can really get a lot out of this job, personal and professional level. And you can also develop some really great relationships with your students as well, if you want to. It certainly had that opportunity, and I've met some really, really amazing kids. And so, despite all my frustrations that I can have with the admin, I really, really have learned to appreciate the good moments that I have with the students, because they're all like super cool.
So I know a lot of people are going to want to know the answer to this question. Do you have to have a degree to teach in Cambodia?
The answer is no. Now, Phnom Penh is going to be a little more selective because there's a lot more competition, and there are a lot of schools here that will require like an actual teaching degree, at least a bachelor's degree. But me, I have a TEFL. And I also have some education experience back from the States. Not a bachelor's though. So yeah, no, you really don't have to. I recommend, you know, having some teaching experience. Something, you know, you're going to be more successful if you have some sort of life experience or previous job experience. Because I mean, you are going to be in this room with a bunch of kids, and they're all going to be looking at you, asking you to teach them stuff. So it really, yeah. So I do recommend getting at least a TEFL, because you know, like I said before, I mean, you kind of get out of this place kind of in what you put into it. I think that I recommend learning how, getting some bare minimum training.
I'm over here with my man, Aaron from Colorado. He's teaching the Englishes. The kids are learning the Englishes. He's dancing around like the bear and everybody's happy. It's great. He's fucking white. What an accomplishment. I'm so proud of him. But I want to know like how you got along with the other expats, like, because I've met a mixed bag over the years. I've met fantastic people who have become friends for years. We've done business together. You know, in the beginning I was working in kind of a little bit more of a gray area, and over the years I met all these strange characters, people who wanted to come over there and teach without degrees or do any number of other things. Some of them were just entrepreneurs, some of them were people who were just looking for an easy job, some of them were totally batshit crazy and out of their fucking mind. And now that I've moved into a little bit more of a higher price clientele, it's improved, but I still meet a lot of crazy people in this part of the world. So what has your opinion been on the people that you've encountered and like the general demographics of the expats that you've experienced out here?
Okay, so the two main expat areas are the Riverside area and Tultumpong. You're not really going to find a whole lot of Americans, a lot of British, a lot of Australians, New Zealanders, a lot of French people as well. It's a real mixture, honestly. But yeah, not so many Americans. Riverside, typically Riverside area is really not a very nice place to go. I mean, you can have a killer time if you want to, you know, have some fun. I say absolutely no. Yeah, you can have a killer time, like on a night on Riverside. But I would say Tultumpong is pretty much if you want to meet some good expats, make some friends. That's really important here, especially if you're coming here by yourself. I mean, Jay and Mish, I mean, you guys kind of have each other to support each other, you know? And so me, if I'm completely on my own, I really made an effort to make friends. And so far, I've actually made a lot of really good friends. A lot of other teachers, honestly. But yeah, you kind of want to be careful, though. I found myself, the first 2 months that I was here, really having a lot of culture shock. And if there was somebody I could have a conversation with, that I could speak English with, that I had some type of cultural kind of relation to, I would just kind of like verbal diarrhea, just blah, 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 you know, because everything was just, it was very overwhelming. So it was really great to be able to actually talk to somebody. But yeah, you do want to find some friends. You do want to make some friends. And actually it was pretty cool because what Jay and Michelle did, for me, was give me actually some contacts of people here in the city that actually lived here, who've been here for a long time. So knowing that they were there, and I could, you know, a lot of them speak Khmer as well. And so just knowing that I had those people here for resources if there was anything weird happen, that was really great. But yeah, you really want to try to make friends, because if you're trying to live out here as a loner, you're going to lose your mind. You will go absolutely insane, because you really take for granted being able to just actually have a conversation with someone here, and be able to kind of like, hey, how's it going? How was your day? You know, and just be able to sit around and just bullshit with somebody. But yeah, I would say as far as meeting good people, I would stick to Tultumpong. You know, just go on Google Maps, just go and just wander into places. Just be careful you're not spending too much time in bars, because that's really kind of a thing here. Just becoming a lot of my British teacher friends, and they'll admit it themselves. I mean, yeah, they're a bunch of pissheads. I mean, there's a lot of heavy drinking here. Beer's $1, and so I mean, it's easy to sit at a bar for 4 hours just bullshitting with a bunch of people, and just knocking them back one after the other. That can be a vicious cycle too, because you get off a day of work and you just want to talk to people. You've been hanging out with teenagers and kids all day. You want to blow off some steam, drink some beers, and talk some shit at a bar with your friends. It can become a daily thing, and you end up spending a lot of money on that. You don't really realize it until you actually do. But that's definitely something you should be aware of. That there is a kind of a bar drinking culture here amongst the expats. A lot of them are just absolute alcoholics. But I honestly haven't really had any real run-ins with any real shady people. But Riverside area though, if you ever get tired, sometimes I get tired of hanging out in Tultumpong, and I look at my buddy and I'm like, man, I'm not going to the normal place. Let's go to Riverside and just wander around for a couple hours. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, but I'm just like, okay, take me back to Tultumpong where it's safe and where, not all sorts of bizarre, shady things are happening. Because I mean, it's just basically that whole area of Riverside, it's just one hooker bar after another. And all these just beautiful women all just trying to get you to come in and like buy them drinks, and it's absolutely insane.
So that's very interesting. That's quite similar to the culture in Vietnam. I noticed a lot of the teachers drink a lot. So it was really hard for me to like hang out and make friends because I don't really drink that much, So I definitely can see how you can get into stuff just because of that.
Yo, it's the Ross Perot of teaching you about expat relocation and ESL employment overseas. Brush your teeth.
I don't have any spin doctors. I don't have any speech writers. Probably shows. I make those charts you see on television even, that shows.
So anyways, we over here with my man Aaron from Colorado. He's keeping his teeth clean, he's flossing, he's making sure he's checking the crevices. And we're out here doing what we do. We're teaching you how to live your life, because your life is probably whacker than Aaron's life is. And his life is better than your life. And you should try to emulate his life, because you got a lot to learn from Mr. Aaron over here. So I hope that information was good knowledge for your brain. I hope it helped you become a better person. I hope it helped you understand what you're trying to do with your life, and I'm here to help you. So if you're thinking about coming to Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, we do things in the Balkans, we got contacts in Latin America. If you're thinking about doing anything in a developing market, get at us, because even if we don't specialize in it, we might have peripheral contacts. If you're thinking about even Central Asia, we got contacts for employment. Central Asia, Mongolia, China, we got contacts in Korea, we got, wherever you want to go, we can help you. But we wanted to take you a little bit into the mind of an ESL teacher, just a random ESL teacher, living his life and being happy and doing his thing, and especially keeping his teeth clean here in Cambodia, right? So thank you for watching. If you like our content, YouTube hates me, so subscribe, share, smash the like button. I appreciate it. I know damn well, like, Mish appreciates it. So thank you for watching. If you're thinking about doing any business, get at me on the Facebook fan page. We can facilitate for most things in this part of the world. So really just don't hesitate to ask. If you're thinking about coming to Southeast Asia and doing something different with your life, getting out of the West, getting away from the decline that's happening very clearly in the West, you have a tremendous amount of opportunity out here. The money goes very far. English teaching can be a great runway for you to get a business going or to do something else while you're out here. So you have to have an open mind. You can't really just approach this like, I'm just going to teach English for the rest of my life, because long term I think there's no future in this, especially unless you're going to specialize and get a degree in education or a teaching license or a CELTA, and then you go off to countries that are going to pay you a real salary, like Vietnam, Korea, places like this. But it's a fantastic thing to do in Cambodia until either your business takes off or you have some idea that you're trying to get off the ground and you need some more income to give yourself time. This is a fantastic place for entrepreneurs. Cambodia is amazing for that. The business culture here is very friendly for foreigners. It's relatively easy to do business. Visas are relatively easy. We get contacts for undermarket apartments. Guys, for example, the building I live in is supposed to be a $650 unit. We're only paying $480. So you give you an idea that when you're in our world and our sphere, the type of contacts that you get that can save you tremendous amounts of money on things like visas, apartments, housing, just even information that could help you that you might not have known before you come. I feel like our service is for people who really don't want to deal with any bullshit, and they are willing to pay a little bit extra to just walk right into an easy, comfortable situation. And we really try to do that for people, because we feel like we're giving people a fresh start in life, a chance to start over. Thank you for watching the video. Smash the like button. Check out our previous content. If you guys are thinking about coming to Southeast Asia and you don't have any health insurance worked out, check out our Safety Wing referral link down in the description. We get a small percentage if you click on it, and it's not the best insurance probably for you long term, but it's a great insurance for you while you're first landing in a new country, and it's highly flexible and geared towards nomads. We're gonna have more content like this coming to you soon. soon, so make sure you stay in school, make sure you brush your teeth, eat your vegetables, make sure you tie your socks. Are you thinking of living, investing, buying property, buying land, working, or spending any significant time in Cambodia? Cambodia is an amazing country that offers a wide range of different opportunities for someone who has an open mind. If you're thinking about coming to Cambodia for the first time, we offer a consulting service for people who are looking to have everything done for them before they arrive. They want their housing contacts, their employment, their consultants, whatever they want to find in the country, they want it set up. That's what we do for you. We make it easy so that you don't have to worry about scams, problems, or other pitfalls that new expats face in this amazing country.